In this video, we are going to talk about what a fantasy relationship looks like for a fearful avoidant. I am Pauline, and I am so happy you are here because a fantasy relationship is a thing for pretty much all fearful avoidants, and it's just very interesting to talk about because you might not even realize that you have it, and it's good to put a name to it and be aware of it because it can take away from having an actual real life beautiful, messy, beautiful relationship. So, first of all, what is a fantasy relationship? It is this image, whether it's vague or very concrete, that you have in your mind of what a relationship could be or should be. So, a lot of fearful avoidants deal with perfectionism, and I talk about relationship perfectionism a lot also on this channel. And you do that mainly because you believe that when something is absolutely perfect, it will stay perfect forever. And that means you don't have to deal with any messiness, negative emotions, or anything that you can't feel like you can deal with. And the fantasy relationship is just perfect for that because it is a relationship that doesn't exist. It's a relationship with maybe even a person that doesn't exist, that doesn't really have a face. But it's this vague idea that there is a person in the world that will know exactly what to say, exactly what to do, exactly what to be for you to be happy forever in every single moment, so that you don't have to deal conveniently with any negative emotions coming up because you haven't learned how to process that as a child when you are a fearful avoidant. You don't have to deal with any messiness because you haven't learned how to do that as a child, as a fearful avoidant. And you don't have to deal with any of your own fears, which you probably have a lot as a fearful avoidant. This is not a bad thing at all because it's such a beautiful coping mechanism. It is something that is like this spark of hope that you have probably conjured up when you were a child or in puberty or beyond, a teenager or beyond. And it gave you the idea that there was a way out of all this intense pain that you were feeling. So it is not only very logical, but it's such a beautiful coping mechanism. It is not a bad thing. The bad thing about it is that it can take away from real relationships and being actually happy in those real relationships. And as much as we would love to have a fantasy relationship, it doesn't exist. There is no relationship on planet Earth that is free from negative feelings, messiness, or having to deal or confront your own fears. So that is what a fantasy relationship is. Let's just now dive into what that looks like for fearful avoidance, because it could be that you are going to hear all of this and think, oh, I thought that was just a relationship and that was what it was supposed to be like, and that I was in the wrong relationship because I don't have those things. And now you're saying that's not real and I'm never going to have that. I'm not saying that. I will get back to that at the end of this video. You can have all these things, but better. So what the fantasy relationship looks like for most fearful avoidants is, first of all, intense passion. Intense passion. Fearful avoidants have this obsession with passion, a passion obsession. The more intense your feelings, the more you feel like you are on the right path, you are doing the right thing, and it will be right forever. This is the one forever. So the more intense the passion is, the better you feel about the whole thing, even when the relationship is quite toxic. And this is what you see a lot. When the passion is very intense, the relationship usually is not very healthy. How can that be? Why is that? It's because in those toxic relationships, there are probably a lot of highs and lows. And that means that your hormones start to play a role in all of this. Your physiological body starts to play a role in all of this. And those highs can create a sense of euphoria. So when you have that passionate moment, whatever it is, you can have this incredible high with all of the hormones that entails. But you can only have those highs because you also have very low lows. You cannot sustain that, because that is just pretty much not humanly possible. And so there will be low lows, because you're used to that also, being rejected, being abandoned, being hurt, and then having to work again to get back to that really high high. That is addiction like, and it sometimes can actually be addiction. So that intense passion, you usually have that with people who are emotionally unavailable, for instance, because in a way that feels safe, because when they are emotionally unavailable, you control the connection, because you have to work really hard to get the connection, whereas in a healthy relationship, that connection is just always kind of there, which feels way more scary for a fearful avoidant. And so having to work for connection and then getting it can create a really big sense of high, and then after that follows a low. So the fantasy relationship for a fearful avoidant is that there is just intense passion all the time, the rest of your life. But that is not physiologically possible, that you cannot sustain that. Does that mean you'll have to do without passion? No, I will get back to that later. Another thing is that you would never have to express your needs, because they would know exactly what to say or do or be in every moment, which is very convenient when you haven't learned how to know what you need and how to fulfill those needs. When you haven't, you want somebody else to be like, oh, I think you need this, and them being exactly right every single time, which is not humanly possible. And you can't expect that from a partner. But that is what you think the fantasy relationship will give you, that they will just know exactly what you need in every moment, so you don't ever have to deal with your own needs. But just imagine for a second that this is possible, that there is a person on planet Earth that knows exactly what you need in every moment, and they will say or do or be that person in every moment for you. How scared would you be to lose them? Because if you lost them, your needs would not be fulfilled at all, because you have no idea what your needs are and you have no idea how to fulfill them yourself. So even if this would be humanly possible, which it's not, it is a much too scary situation to be in, to have this one person have all this power around fulfilling your needs, and them then maybe, dying or losing them in whatever way. You will not allow yourself to completely surrender to that relationship if you have no idea what your own needs are and how to fulfill them. You are the only one that's going to be with you for the rest of your life. So you better know what your needs are and how to express them and how to make sure they are fulfilled. Because a partner cannot do that for you, and even if they could, that would be way too risky. Way too risky. Another thing about the fantasy relationship is that they can't live without you, because either you save them or you're special. This is such a Hollywood thing too, right? So it's not, I love being with you, I love being your partner, I love having you in my life. No, that is not enough. It has to be that they cannot physically live without you. It has to be very dramatic, because the intensity is a very fearful avoidant thing. So you will notice this again and again. It's very intense. So they can't live without you. And that is because you did something. You are special in some way, or you saved them, or you tamed them. That's a fantasy a lot of people have, that you can tame certain people, and then they, because of that, will settle down forever, or you can save them in a way, and because of that, they will owe you forever, which is very manipulative if you think about it. Like, I save you, you have to be with me forever and ever and ever and ever. You can never leave me. But also it sets you up to be actually in abusive relationships, toxic and abusive relationships, because what happens a lot in abusive relationships is that in the beginning you excuse a lot of the red flags and behavior, because you think, oh, they have had such a hard childhood, and I am the only one that understands them and can save them. And that's what a lot of abusers actually say. Nobody understands me the way you do. You know the real me. You are the only one that can make me feel this way. And that's actually quite scary. That's actually a red flag. But for a fearful avoidant, that feels like a void is being filled that has been there for so long. Finally, you're special. Finally, you have this possibility, this hope that because of something you do or something you are, they will never leave you. They will never abandon you. And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You want to have a partner who can live without you. And there might be a part of you now that just your heart sinks and says, that is so unromantic. Yeah, no, it's not toxic, because the toxic part is that the not being able to live without your partner, that's not healthy. Your partner should be able to live without you, but want to live with you, want you in their life. That's the basis of a healthy relationship, which leads to all good things, which I will come back to at the end of this video. Then it doesn't matter how you treat each other, you have an undying passion. This is also just such a fantasy that I definitely had. I felt like it didn't matter how I would treat my boyfriend. I could just say anything, I could lash out, I could be emotional, because wasn't that what passion is? If somebody was right for me, they would see right through that, and they would love me unconditionally and with undying passion. They would hate me and love me. They would completely accept that, and we would fight all the time and then have incredible makeup sex, and then everything would be fine. But from research, we learn that when couples have a lot of fights and that passion that comes from drama, they actually have no more sex in 5 or 10 years, and it's very destructive to the relationship, and the predictor for divorce is actually quite high. I don't know the exact number. So having this undying passion and not, it doesn't matter how you treat the other person, it's a myth, really. It really is a myth. And it just is a fantasy that you don't have to take responsibility for how you act towards your partner, which was very hard for me to accept, because it felt like I wasn't being truthful if I was being kind and loving. Just go figure. And I was lying or putting on a show, instead of me seeing it as, wait, maybe I have to kind of grow up a little bit and actually treat my partner with respect and love and kindness the way he deserves. So yeah, this was a hard one for me to let go, actually, because I was just looking for a free pass to just blurt out anything that came up, to project all my pain onto my partner and not have to deal with it myself, which is, I think, what a lot of fearful avoidant parents do with children who grow up to become fearful avoidants. They just don't regulate themselves. They don't filter themselves. They just everything that comes up, every negative emotion, everything, they just kind of lash that out onto you. And therefore you think that that's normal and that's the way it's supposed to be. And that's just not true. You have a responsibility to be kind and be respectful to your partner if you want to have a long and happy, fulfilling, beautiful, lifelong partnership. Also, you'll never have to regulate your own emotions. They'll get you. They will have you. They will be there for you whatsoever. That is also a fantasy, because if you're angry all the time, or you're grumpy all the time, and you don't do anything to take responsibility for that, and you're just kind of waiting for them to save you, that is not a basis for a relationship whatsoever. Your partner cannot save you. You are responsible for your own feelings or your own mood, and it doesn't mean that you always have to be happy, cheerful, like a robot person. But it does mean that you can't expect your partner to just fix you, save you, or be there always for you when you are feeling low. And this was also really hard for me, because I struggled with depression for so long. And one of the reasons that I kind of held on to that depression is because I felt like if I was feeling depressed, he would have to take care of me and he wouldn't be able to abandon me. And that is just such not a healthy way of looking at relationships. Also, again, kind of manipulative to almost hold on to a depression to keep somebody close. And I'm not saying that all depressions are chosen. I am saying my depression was chosen, and for a great part, and it was a lot of pain, and I could heal that, and I wasn't very willing to heal some parts of it, and this was one part of it. I just wasn't willing to take responsibility for this for a long time. Thank goodness I did in the end. Because, you know, having a depression for the rest of your life just to have somebody be around you out of kind of obligation, it's not really love. It's not really love. And you know that when you do that. You kind of know that. And then the last thing about the fantasy relationship is that they'll do everything to make you happy. Every single thing. They would sacrifice the world to make you happy. And just, this is also something I believed and wanted. But reading this now and thinking about it now, it's like, that's pretty arrogant in a way, to believe that, you know, their purpose in life is to make me happy. And of course a partner should care about your happiness, but again, your happiness is your responsibility, because again, if there is that one person on planet Earth that can make you happy, what if you would lose them? Would that mean you would be unhappy forever, or you would have to find somebody else that makes you happy? We are responsible for our own happiness, and we are very well capable of being happy. And a relationship is just a beautiful added thing that just adds so much beauty and richness in your life, but it is not going to fix you. You cannot expect a partner to fix you or save you from all the negative feelings that you have. It's not fair, and it just doesn't work. So it will only cause frustration and unhappiness on your part. So letting go of this fantasy relationship for me was really hard. I wanted to hold on to it, and I thought it was really possible, and I was just frustrated that my relationship wasn't a fantasy relationship, because I had a healthy relationship, at least on his part, for a long time. And what I know now that I have a healthy relationship and I've grown up, I've made myself grow up, is that this is much better, because I feel so much stronger in me, so much more powerful in my own shoes, and knowing that I don't need him to fulfill my needs and to be happy actually allows me to love him even more. Because before, I was just disappointed a lot of the time, frustrated a lot of the time that he wouldn't get it exactly right. So it wasn't love, it was just blocking love. And now that I know that I don't need anything from him necessarily to be happy or to fulfill my needs, everything he does is almost an extra. And I am able to feel so much more love for him. So it's so interesting how this works, right? We do these things out of a coping mechanism because we think that we will experience more love. And then it just doesn't work like that at all. It just doesn't work like that at all. So there is definitely a possibility to have lifelong passion, but it comes from intimacy and true friendship. And to get there, you need to take accountability and take responsibility for your own feelings and your own fears and your own needs and your own boundaries, because otherwise all of it will be just too scary. So what I am trying to do here is not make you feel bad about wanting a fantasy relationship. It makes so much sense that you would want that. What I want for you is to experience that real love, that true love, that you are not so afraid to lose because your life kind of depends on it. You are worthy of so much more, and you are so much stronger than you think, and that strength and that power is going to give you so much in your whole life, in all areas, and that's what I wish for you. So if you are interested in healing the fearful avoidant attachment style, which kind of causes this fantasy relationship image, You can check the link in the description below to my online program, Healed and Happy, where we go to the roots of the Fearful Avoidant Attachment Style. And you are going to experience what real, true, deep, beautiful love is. Fulfilling, passionate, lifelong. It is possible. It is possible for you, and you have always deserved that, for sure. I am so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one. Healed and Happy is a tailor-made online program where me and my team personally guide you through healing the roots of the Fearful Avoidant Attachment Style.